Welcome to the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast with your host and realtor, the Fraser Hughes Experience, and do not forget to Hughes it or lose it.
All right, so on the show with me as I'm doing this podcast from my home, and a lot of you are at home right now listening, or maybe you're in the car. Susan Geary is a certified resume writer, and tell us about your website, how people can find you.
I'm at firstrateresumes.com. You can also find samples of my work at susangeary.com, spelled Geary.
Yeah, like you're turning all the right gears.
That's exactly right.
So I'm really excited to have you on because we both have similar paths as radio personalities, and then you also helped me with my resume to make it stand out, which I'm really grateful for. And then at this time right now, there are a lot of people without jobs, and what a better time to get your resume, together.
That's right. If you do have a lot of time at home, I will have some tips for you to help make it the best that it can be.
Perfect. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you and for some of those tips. I mean, because I can tell you what, when I go to put my resume together, it's kind of like a milkshake full of rocks and leaves, and it's a big mess, and it's hard to be able to organize it. So it's good to have someone like you to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So we've got 5 million more Americans that just filed for jobless claims with COVID-19, and whether you're listening to this and you are a part of the COVID, losing your job, or you just want to spice up your resume and make it look good and have it there, Susan is a great asset to have. So, Susan, what are some of your tips?
Well, before you sit down and write your resume, you really should take stock in what your accomplishments are. One of the big mistakes that people make, and I know I made this one too, is you might see someone else's resume, or you'll see one online or in a book that looks great, and you think, wow, that's what I want mine to look like. And you start formatting it, typing it up, and copying phrases, and that is the last thing you want to do. You really want to assess what makes you good at your job. What did you do to help your last employer and all of your previous employers make money, save money, become more efficient, more productive, bring in more clients, mitigate loss, anything that is required to make a difference to the bottom line. I also like to add, what makes you good at your job? Because if you're good at your job, or you're passionate about your job and what you like about it, that really can help you stand out. There's an old saying that it's easy to take someone who already knows how to smile and help them learn how to type, but it's hard to take someone who knows how to type and teach them how to smile.
Exactly. Sorry about that. I had to step away there from the microphone for just a second because, of course, working from home presents challenges with a 2-year-old. I'm not sure what his resume would look like. Maybe, I like to go to the bathroom in diapers really well and make people work really hard.
It's like you're running the diner there.
Yeah. I'm a short order cook, waiter, and you name it.
Yes, but people who don't appreciate it.
Yeah, so, until they're older. The one thing to take into consideration, one of the things that I like that you said and you pointed out is that put on your resume what made you good at your job. Were you able to increase sales by 10, 15%? I mean, for instance, say I go and put on my resume, not to talk about me, but I was the salesman of the year at Burgle and Luxury. And I can say that on my resume, but what could I add in addition to being salesman of the year? This was a couple years ago before I got into real estate, selling homes and helping people buy their homes. But besides saying salesman of the year for your job or employee of the month, what else could you put in there to help you get some more credibility when you're putting your resume out there?
Well, one of the things I remember when you were with Berglund, I've always been a big fan of yours, Fraser, ever since the days that we kind of worked together over there at Fox 910, was your customer engagement. You made the customer feel like kings. So I would see your little videos of when somebody would buy a car and you put them in the picture. You were head and shoulders with social media, you were like ahead of the game before anybody else was doing it. So you were pioneering in that, as far as I'm concerned, because I would look at your car sold and I thought, wow, this guy really not only enjoys his job, but he makes the customer look like buying a car is fun.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I think that would really help people today is if they could go that extra step to make the customer feel good on social media. I want to keep this on, keep us on track with resumes, but the one thing about making the customer feel good on social media and being able to provide them that video or picture is that it stays on their social media and it stays on yours, and the company's name is out there forever. So even if they move on to another job, you make a major impact in every arena. That being said, when you put something like that on the resume, how would you say it? How would you type it on there?
Well, basically, I use a bulleted list of all of the keyword points, the keywords that are being, shall we say, the computers are searching for. And so customer engagement, lead generation, and there's also words for salespeople like you that, you need to know about the contract negotiations, and you have to know probably in real estate about law so that you or the buyer or the seller don't get sued after the transaction is complete. Property taxes, all the additional expenses. So think about that holistically about what it is you do every day. And just start, taking notes right down. It's like, man, yeah, I have to go out and I have to find customers. I have to always be out there ahead of the game. I have to do marketing. Like I said, lead generation, customer engagement, the contracts. That is really important. So find those sales keywords. And if you don't know where to look for them, just start looking at vacancy announcements, who's hiring, or job descriptions. So, for example, when you first had your job, I hope that when you signed a contract or an agreement to go be employed by your new employer, they usually give you here's the job description. Do you agree to do this? This is how much we're offering you. Sign it. Save that. Start a file on yourself, because that way when it comes to describe what you do, you can start with that job description, or you can start with the vacancy announcement of the new company that's hiring, so you can pull out those keywords that are really necessary.
And today on the Run It Real Estate podcast, she's been doing resumes. She's certified for over 20 years, Susan Geary. So, whether you're a novice or you've been in business for a while, she can help you with your resume. You should always have a resume on file. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. And I'm sure, there's different types of resumes. You've got someone that just got out of college. You've got, a person in high school that's looking for their first job. Then you've got a veteran who's been at the same job for 10, 20 years. Then you have somebody that in the different job fields too, someone that's always been in customer service, always in a call center, or maybe an engineer in IT, or maybe someone who's leaving to go from one job to the next. So there's different areas on that resume and different people and from different walks of life that you can help them make the correct adjustments so they really make an impact when they go to look for that next job.
That is correct. And new college graduates are pretty much my favorite because I can get the client early, and when I go through my interview with them, my consultation, it's much like the first time you've ever had to go do taxes. When your tax preparer is asking you all these questions and say, well, did you save your mileage when you were out there with your clients? It's like, no. And then the next year you're going to remember that.
Want to be on the Roanoke Real Estate podcast? Call Frazier now or text 540-314-5583. Also contact Frazier to sell or find your next home. And he's always fresh on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Stay positive, Star City and Hughes. Don't lose it.
Did you do any presentations with a group, maybe to a local business, because you do those things, internships. And as you're on the job throughout the years, I always ask, did you win any awards? Have you had any promotions? Do you speak foreign languages? Even sign language. These are the things that make you stand out. If you were an Eagle Scout, I look at that and say, wow, not many people are Eagle Scouts or black belts in karate. I normally don't put hobbies on a resume unless it's something that's really hard to attain, like a black belt or an Eagle Scout, because that shows determination.
Yeah, so don't put on there like avid runner, family of 4, loves being a dad. Keep that off.
Right. And if you were a stay-at-home mom for years, let's say, your spouse has to go back to work as a result of COVID, or maybe you have been at home all this time, we don't say, you're a stay-at-home dad. I like to call that a family manager. We don't want to give away how many children we may have at home. And a family manager can also mean that you were taking care of maybe an elderly parent who has since passed away. Those are actual jobs, believe it or not. You may not be getting paid for it per se, but man, there's a lot of work involved. I know I did it for my own mom, of having to keep track of her bills and learning Medicare and, scouting out nursing homes in the end, and it is a lot of work, transporting them to doctor's appointments. So think about all of those things. And as far as like kids in high school who have never had any experience, I have written those resumes too. I have sat down and said, what are you good at? What do you do in your spare time? And if I find out, oh yeah, I hook up computers or I do social media, it's like some of those kids are whizzes on them.
What about my 14-year-old who's upstairs right now on his PS4, for 12 hours straight?
For gaming, I have written a resume for gamers, but most of them had just come out of college. There are universities that specialize in gaming where they can do gaming design and engineering of them. So that is actually a viable career. And I do know another person, and this was probably 30 years ago. Now I'm dating myself. He was also a gamer. When he went into the Army, you take all the ASVAB tests. He scored very high because of his gaming skills. They made him a gunner.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
I don't feel so bad about him being up there all day. Okay, perfect. Okay, so a couple things about you. Susan Geary is on the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast right now. Wanted to have her on because for over 20 years she's been helping people put together, including myself, dynamic resumes. She's been a TV news producer, a public radio announcer, and also a LinkedIn profile advisor. And I know that your LinkedIn profile, I'm sure there's some snafus and there's some things you can do wrong on here, but having someone recommend you on LinkedIn, you can pretty much print out your LinkedIn, which is kind of like almost like a resume itself, and shows all your, what's the difference between the LinkedIn printout and having a real resume?
Well, for one thing, we use the profile should be in the first person, and they are both first person as far as documents go. In a resume, we don't use pronouns. We don't use the words "I did this" or "we did that" or "she," "they," words like that. Those are pronouns. On a LinkedIn profile, we do. So my LinkedIn profile will say, yeah, I've been doing this for years, and this is why I enjoy it. And I have a synopsis because the profile has to have all of those key words. So when recruiters, which is how they find people now, is on LinkedIn, instead of just picking up the phone and making random calls, they look for keywords, and the algorithms pick it up. I don't advise putting everything in LinkedIn that you would have on your resume. The resume is more personal. It's sort of like that is your tax form, shall we say? So we be careful of having your identity stolen. And we also don't want to give away any competitive analysis. So we wouldn't want your other real estate companies finding out, too many details just by going online about contracts you sold or personal things that shouldn't be divulged, such as dollar amounts. For a salesperson, I wouldn't want to put on there that you just secured a $5 million contract with General Electric selling widgets. That's too much information.
It sounds like good money, but kind of boring with the widgets.
Yeah.
So this LinkedIn, being a LinkedIn profile advisor, what are a couple tips that people could take away from you for their LinkedIn profile?
Well, it has to have a headshot.
Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves is no headshot on any social media account, especially LinkedIn. I just don't trust you. I just disregard it almost.
And yes, you're not the only person that feels that way. And it almost seems